So from today, in today's session, we'll see how we can use ChatGPT in our automation, especially even in the manual testing. So we can use ChatGPT very effectively. So not only ChatGPT, you have another tool called Google Gemini. So that is also work based on AI. So both are similar almost. So but ChatGPT is again a free version is available and also paid is available. But Google Gemini totally free available as of now. But still these tools are still evolving, so it's not completely done. So it is keep on adding more data, and so people are trying to evolving these tools. So let's see how we can use this ChatGPT for our automation and manual testing in the different areas and different scenarios, and how we can reduce our time and how we can reduce our effort and see. So the main important thing is to work with the ChatGPT, so or Google Gemini, whatever it is. The main important thing is we have to know how to provide a proper prompting. So the main concept in AI is prompting is most important. Okay. So what is a prompting means? We can give proper instructions to the chat GPT. So proper instructions means the chat GPT can analyze our instructions and accordingly it will provide the response. So if you ask chat GPT in the proper way, then only we'll get the proper output. So based upon the input, we'll get a proper output. So the process is called prompting. Prompting is a process in which we can provide the instructions to the chat GPT in proper manner. So this is another different type of a skill. So nowadays, chat GPT prompting itself is a lot of big course actually. So people are learning prompting concept because nowadays in the market, many companies are have requirement to prompt engineers. People are called who are is doing prompting. They are called prompt engineers. These are another new designation is recently created in the market. So whenever the AI came into market, so then onwards, the prompting engineers having more demand in the market. The simple thing is you need to know proper English language to learn prompt engineering. So then you will able to provide the instructions properly. Okay, this is the main important concept is prompting whenever you want to work with the AI tools. Okay, so when you provide the proper prompt, so then only you will get the proper response from the chat GPT. Okay, so today I'll show you a different type of prompts, and especially we can use it for manual testing as well as automation testing in the different scenarios and different areas, how we can give prompting and how we can utilize ChatGPT very effectively in our automation to reduce the time and also our effort. Okay. So today I'll show you some of the most famous prompt, especially in manual testing as well as automation testing. And you can also use those prompts. I will provide all the documentation and different prompts. And whenever you want to work with ChatGPT, you can use those type of prompts. It's very simple. If you know English language, you can easily create a simple prompts. Okay, but people who are working with advanced tools like advanced related concepts, so they need a prompting concept. So they need to learn prompting, how we can provide prompting and everything. Because not only automation testing, if they want to work with another tools in the market, so they need to learn the prompting concept. Okay, so today we'll see some of the prompts which are very famous and popular, especially in software testing and automation. And we will see once you provide the prompting, how ChatGPT is responding with the responses and how we can use the responses and everything. And one more thing is, whenever you provide a prompt to the ChatGPT, once you get a response, that's not a final response. Sometimes you may be satisfied with the response, sometimes you may not be satisfied with the response. Okay, so once it gives the response to you, suppose if you're not satisfied or if you want to add something else in that response, you can keep asking ChatGPT, because the ChatGPT works based on the history. Suppose one question we have asked to ChatGPT, it given some answer, and on top of answer again you have another question, then you can keep adding more number of questions, and it will keep giving the more number of responses, because it will easily remember the history of your questions. Based on that, it will provide the response. Or if you need any modifications in the response, you can keep adding and ask more modifications or update in the response. So everything, it depends on how you are providing the prompt to the chat GPT. That's the most important. Okay, now we'll see how we can provide different type of prompts, especially manual testing and automation testing, and different areas how we can provide the prompts and how we can get the response and how we can use it in our automation. And whatever the response is provided by ChatGPT is not the final one. We cannot directly copy paste and you can use it. Sometimes we can copy paste and directly use it without any modifications, but sometimes it needs a lot of review, manual review, and modifications also required, because ChatGPT is also cannot give 100% proper output. 99%, okay, that's fine, but at least 1% will be difference. So especially when I use ChatGPT for automation, you need to do a lot of changes in the code. So they give particular code for you, but once you copy the code exactly similar way, so it may not work properly. You need to modify, update. Again, you need to do some kind of a review, manual review, and then you can use it in your automation. Okay, so that is necessary. So that's the reason these tools cannot replace manual effort, manuals 100%. Okay, so definitely there should be some engineers. They should review the response from the chat GPT, and then they can use it in your automation or manual testing wherever it is. So these tools cannot replace 100% manual effort, but definitely 70% to 80% we can reduce our effort and also a lot of time. That is sure. Okay, so what is your responsibility is we need to learn how to utilize this very effectively in automation and manual testing and wherever areas it is required. That's where we need to update our skill set. It is not 100% cannot replace everyone. Okay, that's sure. Now, so let me show you some of the prompts how we can provide and how we can use them in our automation and manual testing. So before that, I have a chat GPT, already have this. So if you have an account, you can create your own chat GPT account. So you can simply go to Google and type chat GPT. Okay, and then you will get this link, chat GPT. First time when you open this link, it will ask you for your sign up. You can have a Google account or whatever. You can just do sign up. It's a free sign up. And once you sign up, you will enter into the chat GPT like this. And other side, you can see new chat, empty window. And here you can see chat GPT versions. And this is a free version which is available. If you want to upgrade, you can upgrade to the chat GPT plus. This is again paid version which is available. Okay. And another way, there are some default prompts they have provided here and some generic usage, but we are not going to use anything here. This is a prompt box. So here we need to provide the prompt box. I'll maximize it. Okay. So this is a chat GPT window. So whoever is using first time, you can just carefully listen, but this is not a big thing. Actually, it's very, very simple. Open the URL chat GPT and create your own account and just log in. That's it. So you will see this window. Once you log in, you will see this window. And you can see the new chat here, upgrade plan. And here prompt box is this one. So here you can provide the prompt. And you can also upload some attachment if it is required. Okay. And here you can see some settings, customize chat GPT settings. If you go back to the settings, you can see what type of theme you want to have, dark, light, and system theme, and in which language. Okay. And if you want to delete all, suppose earlier you already done so many charts, and if you want to delete and archive, you can do that. And the security, so there are security options also provided, but in the free version, there are many, very, very minimal options they have provided. But in the paid versions, so many things have then provided options. Okay. Right. So now we'll see how we can use this chat GPT for our testing purpose. And what are the different scenarios we can utilize this chat GPT to reduce our time and also manual effort. Okay. So I'll show you some of the scenarios. Let's say I will also note down here all the scenarios. Let's say first scenario is we can create user stories. For example, let's say actually this job is done by the product managers. Initially, whenever the customer says about the requirements, and product manager will try to create user stories. Okay. So again, this is your preparation, writing the test cases, scenarios, test plans. This is very, very, very tedious task. Not tedious task, but it is a very big task. It takes more number of hours. Sometimes it takes more number of days. So the first is user story creation. We can easily do that. This is the first item. User story creation. What is a user story? user story represents a requirement, a small requirement from the customer. So in Agile process, normally customer provides the requirement in the form of some text or pictures or whichever format they have, and we'll collect those requirements. And by using the requirements or by reading the requirements, we can create our own user stories. Okay. So this we can do very easily, but normally testers won't do this task, but product managers, they do the task in the initial level. So they can utilize this very effectively, user story creation. So how we can create, one second. Yeah. So how to create a user stories based on the requirement. So how to give the prompt for that. So what I will do is I will have one some application or one some requirement. For example, let's say uh, to create a user story, we need a requirement, right? So let's say I have one requirement like this. So what is the requirement is, as a user, okay, I want to, as a user, I should, okay, I should able to log into application or whatever application you can just provide clearly. So as a user, I should able to log in e-commerce application, any e-commerce application, so that user can use all the features from the application, or user can access all the features, from the application. So simple, a requirement. Okay. So with this requirement, I want to create some user stories. So let us copy this requirement as it is and go to ChatGPT and provide this. So as a user, I should able to log into e-commerce application so that I can, so that user can access all the features from the application. So for this, we have to create a user story. So how we can write a prompt from this is, we can write a prompt like this. This is again individual skill set, guys, based upon your English familiarity and language skills. The prompting concept is depends. So how we can provide the prompt is create user stories for the following requirement. Okay, so then you have to provide the requirement, exact requirement. So you can provide like this. Requirement is what? This one. You put the comma, double quotations or not, no problem. So you can just put like this. This is called prompt. This is called prompt. So this prompting is totally depends upon your language skill set. Okay, so this can be different from one person to another person. So you can simply copy this, create user stories for the following requirement. If you know the requirement, just provide this prompt. That's it. So you can go back and then provide your prompt here. And make sure the sentences language is properly, then because based upon your prompt only, it will give the response. So what I'm asking here, create user stories for the following requirement. So this is my requirement. Okay, so then just enter this and see how it is going to create user stories for the small requirement. You can see that. So multiple user stories it is creating, not only one user story, there it is creating multiple user stories. So this is the beauty of ChatGPT. So if you want to create all these things, how much time you need? At least we will spend 1 hour at least, right? Because we not only writing the user story, we need to identify multiple scenarios. That's the most important. Login itself is not a user story. Based on the login, it is keep creating so many user stories. You can just look at this. How many it is created? Totally 6 user stories are created based upon our prompting. If I look at this, first basic login. So user login with email and password. So this is the user story. This is a format. As a user, I want to log into my I want to log in using my email and password so that I can access all the features of the e-commerce application. This is the actual requirement we have given. But for the same requirement, there are positive and negative also will be there. So the acceptance criteria will be there for every user story. So they provided some acceptance criteria and password reset because this is also related to login. So this is another user story. Password reset functionality is also related to login. So As a user, I want to reset my password if I forgot it, so that I can regain access to my account and use the application features. So acceptance criteria. Then remember me on option. Most of the times in the login screen, you can see remember password option, right? So that is also created. And social media login. Sometimes when you say login, especially e-commerce application, it will ask you login with a Gmail, login with Facebook, login with the LinkedIn, right? So that option also we can verify. So multi-factor authentication means sometimes when you enter username and password, it will ask you to provide some OTP kind of thing, right? So they're all part of multi-factor authentication. Sometimes it will give you captcha. So we need to scan that captcha, then only it will be login. So if there are such type of options, you can also verify. Login, feedback, and security. See how it is generating different type of user stories. But as per our requirement, you may not require all kinds of user stories, but you need to filter it. Okay, maybe for our application, it will generate generic way. So whenever you provide some user story, it will think in generic way. Like there are different kind of e-commerce applications are there. So in general, so what could be the user stories for the login feature? So it will consolidate and it will provide you all the list of user stories. But again, it is your responsibility to review these user stories, and whatever is relevant to your application or whatever is relevant to your product, you need to pick up. And sometimes you, if you want, you can do some modifications, and then you can do multiple reviews and then finalize. So this is your task, and that the manual only manually we can do that. Okay. So it will just provide the information. So we need to pick that information, collect that information, and do one or multiple reviews. And whatever unnecessary stuff is there, you have to eliminate and keep necessary stuff, and you can use it. So this is the one. So user story normally created by the product manager. So this is not the testing related scenario, but I'm just giving some example. Okay. As a tester, as an automation tester, we are not going to create any user stories. So these stories will be provided by the product manager to the developers as well as the testers. So based on the user story, we will create our own test cases. So we will get the user story as an input for the testers, and then we will create our own test cases for the user story. Okay, this is a part of manual testing. In the initial days, we do like this. Okay, so the features, whatever the application features which are collected from the client, okay, product manager will collect it. And once they collected their requirement from the client, they will create the user stories. So they can also use ChatGPT to create a user stories. And these user stories will be provided to the tester or and developer to development for testing purpose. So we also will proceed testing further based on the user story. So these are the input for us. So once you understand the user story, we can create our own test cases. Okay. So yes. So language is most important. So there is no question about that. So how much familiar you with that language? In that case, you can use very effectively. Okay. So language is most important here. So this is how we can create a user story. Okay. So for example, I already have one user story. So by using user story, how we can create a test case. So let's say product manager is given some user stories. So please listen this first. And if you have any questions, I will clarify later. Okay. Suppose the product manager is having some user stories which are provided to us. Now, what is our responsibility as a tester? We need to read these user stories. We don't modify this. Okay. This is a product manager job. That's not our job. So once user stories, let's say these are the user stories provided to us. Now we need to create a test cases for these user stories. That's our job. So how we can create a test cases? So that is the job of tester. So test case development is another task. Now, second one, test case development. This is the actual tester job. So user story creation is normally done by the uh, product manager. It's a job of product manager. This we no need to do, but the test case development, we have to do it. Okay. So test case development as a tester, we need to do that. Okay. So now we have some stories here, right? So for the particular story, how we can create a test cases. So let us say the story is given by the product manager. So our responsibilities, we need to create multiple test cases, which includes positive as well as negative. So in that particular case, how we can provide the prompt to write the test cases. Okay. So now let me show you. So also sometimes you can provide the application also. So directly you can ask to write the test cases for so and so application, but not that generally that will not happen because initial days we don't have application, right? At the time of understanding user stories, at the time of writing the test cases, we do not have an application. So we need to have only user stories. So what we can do is by taking the user story, we can ask ChatGPT to create test cases. Okay. So for example, here I have created one user story. So for this user story, I want to create test cases. Okay. So now we'll see how we can create a test case for this particular user story. So let me copy this user story completely. And I'll ask ChatGPT to create test cases for that particular user story. So what is the prompt here? What is the prompt? How we can provide the prompt? Create test cases for the user story for the following user story, and then copy the user story whatever you want. So even if you're not provided this acceptance criteria, that's still fine. But if you provide acceptance criteria, it will create more in detailed test cases. Okay. So this is all complete prompt from here to here. So now copy this and provide this prompt to the chat GPT and we'll see how it's going to generate. So I can just put it here. See now create a test cases for the following user story. So what is a user story here is login. You can remove this. Okay. Login is my user story. So it is provided title also. And as a user, everything and acceptance criteria, everything is there. So just provide this prompt and see how it is going to generate the test cases for this particular user story. So this is the job of the tester. If you are manual tester, it will be very, very useful feature. So let's say enter and see how it is going to create the test cases for the user story. See, so many test cases it will create. So you don't need to think manually. So it will just create everything. It will also cover all positive, negative, corner scenarios, everything. Just you need to copy them and don't directly copy. Okay. Because once you copied, you have to do review. Multiple times of reviews you have to do, then finalize. See how it is going to generate test cases for single user story. How many test cases are designing here? You can see that. So maximum number of test cases it is got created. Okay, now you can just look at this, how it is got created. So test cases for user login with email and password. So first test case, navigate to login page from the home page. This is one test case. Is given test case ID, title of the test case, and what is the precondition is required, and what are the steps to be done for test case, and what is the expected result. So these are the main fields which we have in the test case, right? This is a test case actually. And similarly, verify presence of email and password fields, UI test case. And then enter email and password, whether the text fields are accepting email address and password. And then click on the login button. And then successful login with correct credentials. And unsuccessful login with incorrect credentials, positive and negative test cases. And email field validation and password field validation. See how it is given? Blank email and password fields. Okay, error message for incorrect login attempt. So these are the maximum coverage of test cases are given for the particular story. So this is the main job of the tester. So we can ask to create test cases for that particular story. Okay. So suppose if you want some more test cases, so you can just here there is an option called regenerate. So when you click on this, it will again regenerate the test cases. Suppose you do not like these test cases, the format or anything, then you can also provide the proper format. Accordingly, it will create the test case, whichever format you want. Suppose you do not like the fields like this. And also you need to add priorities. Okay. And test data and so more. So you can also provide that as part of the prompt. So when I'm writing the prompt here, how I have written is just I have asked create the test cases, but I have not provided anything else. But if you provide more detail, like create a test cases, and every test case should include test case ID, test case name, prerequisite, action, steps, test data. So like this, you can specify all the fields. What are the fields you need to have in the test case, you can provide the list of the fields so that the ChatGPT can create all the test cases, which includes the required fields, whichever you provided. Okay. So this is another very, very useful feature for the tester especially. So you can just provide the prompt. It will create all the required test cases. Okay. So this is another uses. Test case development. We can use it very, very, very effectively. It reduces a lot of time. If I see, if you want to create these many test cases, how much time it will take normally? We need to write these test cases. How much time approximately it will take? Not only writing, right? We need to think what are the other scenarios are there for the login. So there are two things. We need to first think and then we need to put into the action. So we need to write all the tests. So this take hardly 1 hour to 2 hours of time easily, right? But ChatGPT is giving very, very, very simple way. Just we provided the user story. It is given all the test cases. So if this is the case, we can create n number of test cases for n number of user story. If I provided 10 user stories, within minutes, we can create all the test cases for that particular stories and we can make ready the document. See how much time it is got reduced. Earlier, it takes a lot of time. Everything is manually. Some people will also start frustrating by writing everything manually. Some people don't like writing manual stuff. So they don't like creating the documents and working with Excel sheets. They do not like most of the people. So for them, it will be very, very simple. Just copy paste and you can use it. This is another most important prompt will be useful for the tester. So test case development is very, very important. Okay, now let me show you some more important prompts. Suppose, especially programming part. Now come to the programming and automation. So when you come to the programming, sometimes we do some mistakes in the program. Let's say I have written some program, but I have done some mistakes in that. Okay, so let me go to the Eclipse. So suppose when you do some syntactical mistakes in the program, ChatGPT will automatically correct those errors, syntax errors and logical errors also, it will automatically correct. So let me go to Eclipse and I'll show you how it is going to use in Eclipse. So let's go to some project and here I'll remove few things. So let me just create a simple program which contains a syntax errors. Okay. So I'm just creating a simple Java program. Okay. So in this Java program, I will put a small piece of code in this. Just I've created a class. I will also create a main method and so on. So let me just copy here. Okay. So I have written simple a piece of code here. So if I look at here, it is giving error only one place. Okay, but insert is missing. There are multiple syntaxes errors are there in this particular piece of code, but it is giving only one place. Actually, there are multiple syntax errors are there. So here you can see semicolon is missing. So here what is missing? Why it is giving an error here? Because we miss the double quotations, right? So here we are missing the semicolon. And what else? Here we are missing the bracket. And also here we are missing the bracket, right? So insert the for loop. Again, here we miss the one more bracket. So there are so many syntactical errors are there in this particular code, right? So now I want to correct them. Very simple. Okay, what we can do is just copy the code as it is, copy this code as it is, and we need to write a proper prompt. That is the most important. Okay. So now let me write a prompt for that. How we can correct your program. So the third prompt. So third one is syntax error detection and correction in the program. Syntax error detection and correction. So this is another important feature. So how we can provide the prompt for that? I'm just putting here prompt. So what is prompt? So you can write like this: find syntax errors. Okay, find syntax errors and correct the below. So correct the below Java code. So you need to provide the proper prompt and then you need to put the program like this. So this is the complete prompt. So find syntax errors and correct the below Java code. and we need to provide the entire code. So now just observe how it is going to detect the syntax errors, and also it will correct it. It will give the corrected output. So just provide the same thing in the chat GPT here. So I have given the prompt. So find syntax errors and correct the below Java code, and I've given the entire program, just copy pasted. Now just observe. Yeah, it is clearly saying what are the syntax errors are there. It is also giving all the description. It is not just correcting and giving the code. It is also explain each and every line of the code. If I look at here in the beginning, it will show you what are the list of syntax errors are present in this particular code. Very, very useful, right? No one need to explain anything. Just reading this statements, we can understand what are the syntax errors and where we have done those syntax errors. And also, this is a corrected Java code. This is the final code. Now you can see it is added the bracket here. So before that, we do not have here. So if I look at here, this is the code which I have given. Now it is got corrected. You can see this. So this is the final code. Now you can just copy this code directly. And you need to do one round of review, because sometimes it may also change the logic of the program by mistake. So you need to check it once again. So once you have copied, and then I just posted here. Now we can see there are no syntax errors, and moreover, it is also given the comments. Okay, so what are the things are corrected by ChatGPT? It is also given the, so corrected the missing closing quote here and added missing semicolon here. Corrected assignment operator to comparison operator. Previously it was just equal to, but now it make it double equal to. Now corrected missing closing parenthesis, corrected missing closing parenthesis, and corrected missing closing parenthesis. See, what are all corrections it has done, also clearly mentioned in the form of comment. So as a user, as a programmer, it will be very, very, very simple, right? Even if you're complex program, and there are so many syntax errors are there, so you can just copy paste and ask ChatGPT to correct all the syntax errors. That will automatically detect all the errors and correct it and provide the final code. So this is another very, very, very useful use case, especially for the programmers. It will be very, very useful. Even for automation testers also, if you provide automation script, it will find out all the syntax errors, and it will, you can just copy it and use it. So this is a one more usage. We can easily find out the syntax errors, syntax error detection and correction. You can find the syntax error, and ChatGPT also will automatically correct them. But once you provided the final code, you need to review it. Okay, without review, don't directly copy paste. So just review it, because it will also provide the comments, right? So based on the comments, we will know exactly what are the mistakes you have done, so how it is got corrected, and then you can go and use it. So this is another use case of ChatGPT. Okay, so do you guys feel interesting? This is very, very useful, very interesting also. Okay, so now we'll see another one. So syntax error detection and correction. Sometimes the program is syntactically correct, so there are no issues in the program, but you will have some logical errors. Logical error means what? The program will execute fine, but the output whatever you are getting is incorrect. Suppose you created a simple program by adding two numbers. Okay, and when I'm executing the program, when I say 2 plus 2, it is giving 4. Perfectly fine. When I say 2 plus 3, it is giving 5. That is also fine. But when I giving negative numbers, the output is not correct. When I give negative numbers, the output is not correct. So that's called logical error. So logical error means what? The program will execute, you will get an output, but the output is incorrect. As a programmer, as a developer, as a tester, we need to find out those logical errors in a program, and we need to correct it. So how ChatGPT will find out the logical errors and how it is fixed, we will see that. So the next prompt is logical error detection and correction. So third one is syntax error detection and correction. Now the fourth one is logical error detection and correction. So how ChatGPT will find out the logical error, how it is detect, and how it is correct. Now we'll see that. So I have a simple program here which is having a logical error. So let's go back here, and I will create another program. a simple program I'm creating so that we can easily understand. Let's say largest of two numbers. Okay, so I can say largest of two numbers. I'm just creating a simple program. You can try any type of a programs. Okay, now I have created this program. So programmatically, this is perfectly fine. So when I execute this, you can see what is a logical error you can identify in this program. So I'm just written the program for finding largest of two numbers. So I have given two numbers, number one and number two. The program should display which one is the largest number. So if I, so let me execute it and see. Largest number is giving 10. But which one is the largest number here is 20, right? So this is a logical error. So program is perfectly fine. Syntactically, there are no errors. But the output, whatever you are getting is incorrect. So there is a logical error is there in this particular expression. Okay, so in this particular comparison or somewhere here or here, there is some logical error. So here it is actually. So if the number one greater than number two, largest is number one. But if it is false, obviously number two is the largest. But here I'm printing number one itself, right? This is a mistake, logical error. So how ChatGPT will identify this and correct the code? So we'll see that. So how we can write the prompt for that? Prompt. So very simple. We can simply we can ask ChatGPT like find out logical errors and correct the find out the logical errors and correct the below Java code. Below Java code. And whatever code you have, so you can just get this code directly copy and then paste it over here. So this is complete prompt. So find out logical errors and correct the below Java code. So now just observe how the ChatGPT will identify the logical error and how it is going to correct it. So just I'm providing this prompt directly. So prompt is just I'm put the subheading, don't provide that. So from here we need to provide. Just copy this, go back to ChatGPT and just put it here. So find out logical errors and correct the below Java code. So now I can execute and see. Okay, so it is better to provide the specific information like Java or Python or whichever language it is. Okay, because otherwise there are some chances to misunderstood. Maybe if I don't specify any programming language, might be convert into some other programming language. So as much as possible, be specific to the prompt. Okay, so don't write generic messages in the prompt. So you have to be more specific to the prompt. So then only will get the accurate output from the ChatGPT. Okay, sometimes if you are not specific, it may think in some other way. Okay, you may not get your expected prompt, expected output from the ChatGPT. So better to have more specific. What I'm asking Java code, special I said, even though if you're not provided Java code, it will still gives you. Why? Because the code, whatever I have written, it is in Java only. So ChatGPT can easily understand this is a Java code. So even though if you're not specifically say it is a Java code, still that is fine. But better to have more specific thing. Okay. All right. Now we can see that this is a Java code, and also it is giving the clear description. Where is the exact logical error is present? It is giving the description. We can read this. And this is a corrected Java code. You can see it is already corrected here. In here, number one is there. Here, number two is there. So this is a Java code which is got corrected. So now we can copy this as it is, and then you are pasted over here, and then there is no logical error. So when I execute this program, so this will give you proper output. Okay. So this is another use case of ChatGPT. So we can find in the third step, we can also easily detect and correct the syntax errors in the program. And similarly, we can also easily detect and correct the logical errors. Especially for programmers, this will be very useful. So your program will be 100 lines, but still there is no problem. Okay, so you can just put it here, it will give you. Okay, that's it. So now let me show you testing point of view for automation testers, how it will be helpful. So in automation testers, normally we will create our automation test script, right? That's the major job. So if you have a manual test case, we can create automation test case. We can convert manual test case into automation test case, right? So that's a major job. So now we'll see how we can create our test case directly, automation test script, how we can create, how it can develop, how ChatGPT is developed by using manual test case. It is more simpler. There are a lot of time will be reduced here. Just observe here. The next step is how we can use ChatGPT's test automation, script development or script writing. Script writing. Test automation, automation, script writing. Automatically, it will, whichever type of language, whichever type of tool you have used, you can just provide specifically in the prompt, it will generate the code. So Selenium Java code or Selenium Python code or Selenium C# code. So whichever language you want, it will automatically generate. So test automation script writing is another use case of ChatGPT. So now we'll see how we can give the prompt to that. But if I want to generate the automation test script, we need to provide the test case, manual test case. So then only it will able to create a automation test case. Okay, so just observe. I'm going to provide one prompt here. Okay, so just observe. So this is the prompt I have. So I'm asking ChatGPT to create automation test case. Okay, so write automation test script using Selenium with Java. So be specific, Selenium with Java, and I want to create a test case in TestNG style. So and TestNG for the following test case. For the following test case. So this is the prompt. So now we need to provide the test case very, very clearly. So the test case is what? Successful user registration, and title of the test case is successful user registration. And what are the preconditions of the test cases? The user is on the registration page. And what are the steps? So here I have provided 4 steps. So first step is what? Navigate to the registration page. Okay, and enter valid data in all mandatory fields. Like we need to be specific. First name, last name, email, password, confirm password. You need to provide all the data in those fields. And then select any required options like gender, newsletter, subscription. Then click on the register button. So also you provide expected result, because based on the expected result, it will add the validation pointer. So what is the expected result is the user is successfully registered and redirected to the welcome page or their account dashboard. A confirmation email is sent to the provided email address. Okay, so you can remove this for now. So that is our expected result. So you need to have more specific test case. Okay, and if you want to add another test case here, the user is on registration page is there. You can also add this as part of the step. So for example, here I'm adding. Okay, so I think launch Chrome browser and open URL. So here I'll provide some URL at the application also, so that in automation test case, we need URL that will be launched through driver, right? So I can also provide the URL here. So in the double quotes, I provide some URL. So these are the test steps. Okay, so I can remove this title. So test case is anywhere there. So preconditions. Okay, so test steps is launch Chrome browser and open this URL, and then navigate to the registration page, enter valid data in all mandatory fields, select any required options, click on the register button, and then this is expected result. So right, this is our prompt to create your test case, automation test case. We need to provide all the steps. Okay, so what is the actual prompt? Write an automation test script using Selenium Java and TestNG for the following test case. Now just observe, I just provide this prompt to the ChatGPT and see how effectively it will generate the automation test case in TestNG style. And if you create this test case, at least we put at least 15 to 20 minutes of time. So now if you put this, okay, and enter, see how it is going to create the test case in Selenium. So also it will guide you all other stuff, like we need to create a Maven project, update required dependencies are required directly. Instead of providing direct script, it will also give you some prerequisite steps. Okay, now you can see this, how it is going to create the test case. Very faster, right? Very effectively, right? If you want to write this much of code in our automation, how much time it takes? At least 15 to 20 minutes of time it will take, right? See, it is creating everything. And not only giving the script, right? So it is also giving some extra information for us, some additional information for us. See, just what is the additional information it is giving. So Maven dependencies are required. So when I create a Maven project, it will give the dependencies also. Just copy the dependencies in the pom.xml. What are the dependencies required? TestNG, Selenium Java, and WebDriver Manager is not required for now because ChatGPT, the data is having till 2022 itself. But after that, there are some changes are happen in WebDriver. So this is not required now. So some dependencies are given. Also, test script is automatically generated. You can see how it is going to generate it. So it is just created a class. WebDriver variable is got created. So setup method is created in the before class method. Okay, in the test annotation is got created. So all the steps are automated. You can see it is launching the page. Can you see my page? Let me maximize. Okay, see it is launching my browser. Clicking on the register link, provided all the details. By using ID, it is captured all the locators. Okay, now it is verifying. So whether that newsletter is available, then click it. If it's not, no need. So click on the register button. And this is the validation part. Expected result is validated. And in the tear down method, browser is got closed. Very simple, right? Yeah, I will come to that part. Hold on. So this is how we can simply create your test case in your automation. Just provide your manual test case. It will automatically convert it into automation test case. Simple copy paste. And you need to do some changes, guys, because this ChatGPT will not take the live changes. So currently I've given some application, right? So this application is already there in my browser, but ChatGPT don't know about this application because ChatGPT is there till 2022. Data is updated. After 2022, whatever the changes are there in the market, that cannot be captured in the free versions. But if it is a paid versions, live data is there. So in that case, directly you can provide this URL. You can ask you to create a test case. It will automatically create. Okay. So this is another way. So this is a way we can create our test cases for the automation test cases or automation test script. We can create automatically by providing the manual tester and whichever language you want and whichever automation tool you will use, it will automatically create. This is very, very, very helpful, right? So just you need to review the code. So without review, don't copy and use it. Okay, you need to review, and there are certain changes are required manual. Sometimes it may not capture locators properly, so you need to modify them. Sometimes the data will not be properly arranged, so you need to provide proper data here. So you need to just review, and you can refactor your code and then use it. Okay, so you can ask whatever questions you want. Everything you need to provide proper prompting. Okay. So suppose this is the code I have created. Suppose I want to create the same thing using Python and using PyTest framework. So when people are using Selenium with Python and PyTest framework, you can ask for that. So suppose I'm asking again the continuation. You can see that. Okay, please convert above code in Selenium with Python using PyTest framework. So especially in Java, we have a TestNG, right? Similarly, in the Python, we have a PyTest frameworks. So I'm asking the continuation. See this, please convert the same code, whatever code it is given. So I'm asking another question on top of it. Okay. So because this is just like a chatbot. So whatever response it is given, on top of response, we can ask many number of questions. So again, I'm asking, please convert this above code in Selenium with Python using PyTest. So now just observe, it will just create the entire code into, see here, what are the prerequisites to install Python it is giving. Now you can see this is a Python code. This is your Python and PyTest code automatically converted. See, very, very, very simple, right? So if you want to do this task manually, how much time it is required? lot of time is required, right? Converting the test case in one language to another language is tedious task. See this, and how it is, how we need to execute the test case also given the command, and is also given explanation, not only just simple giving the code. So it is also explained each and every line of the code. Okay, so each and every line of the code it is given. I will show you all the scenarios. Just have some patience, guys. Okay, just have some patience. Okay, I'll show you all the prompts. So this is one of the use case. So we can automatically create our test scripts by providing the test case, right? So test automation, script writing. It will automatically create the script when you provide the prompt. So once you've given the response, on top of response, if you have any other questions, you can keep asking more number of questions on the response. So ChatGPT will give the response. So this is one more use case. So test automation, script writing or script generation. Perfect. So now we'll see another use case. Suppose I have one web page like this. Let's say I have one web page application. Now I want to capture the X paths for all the elements which are available in this particular page. See, if I ask you to write X paths for these elements, how much time it will take? Even though if we are using selector hub, it takes a lot of time, right? So how many elements are there? There are so many web elements are there in this page. But I want to create a list of X paths at one shot. I want to create all the list of X paths for all these elements which are available in this page. Right? So how we can do that? So we can give the proper prompt for that. So now the sixth one. XPath, locator, creation. So we can easily create XPath for bulk web elements on that particular page. So how to provide the prompt here is, I'll show you. So the prompt is, you can simply say, write a Selenium XPath locators for all the elements in the particular web page. Okay, so in this particular web page, you can provide the page URL in this particular application. So just provide the prompt. Write a Selenium XPath locators for all the elements in the web page. Simple prompt, right? So you can just copy paste and see how it is going to create XPath for all the elements which are there in the web page. See how it is reducing the manual effort. If you want to write XPath for all these elements in the single page, it takes a lot of time. So now I will put this in the ChatGPT. Just observe how it is going to collect all the XPaths. You can see, write a Selenium XPath locators for all the elements in the particular web page. Now press enter. Now it will automatically get all the XPaths from the live application. Currently, it is not dealing with the live application, but if you go with the paid version, it will automatically get the live version application. See now, for every field in the application, it will automatically create XPaths for all the elements in the web page. Every element, but you need to review this. Okay, there is not 100% guarantee they are correct. So we need to again cross check. See, it is giving some description also. So as soon as I provided the page, I asked to create an XPath for all the elements in the web page. It is automatically created. So even registration link, and just provide the application, right? So what I'm asking below are the XPath locator. See here, what I'm asking is write a Selenium XPath locator for all the elements in the web page. I'm not specifically saying login page or registration page. I just given the application URL, that's it. So by default, it is taken registration page. You can see home page elements, it is also taken. And also it is taken registration page elements. And if there are any page elements or login page elements, common elements, footer elements, see how it is getting all the elements in the application. Okay. So in the live application, in the sense, see, when I'm providing the prompt here, this is the live application currently running, right? But when I provide this prompt in the ChatGPT, what will happen is ChatGPT is not aware of this application, which is currently running on the live. Okay, but ChatGPT basically have data till 2022. So what does that mean is 2022 or some 2021, 2022, I have not remember properly, but the ChatGPT is having free version. Okay, so ChatGPT free version is having data till 2022. That means what? If I ask any question to the ChatGPT, for example, I provided this prompt, right? So when I provided this prompt, ChatGPT will find that application and provide the response. But this application, it is captured the status till 2022. So till 2022, how was that application and what are the elements are there till that particular time? It is capturing those elements and providing the XPaths. So live means what? The current application, current data as of now, whichever is running. If you take this, that's called actual live. But ChatGPT will work based on data which is available till 2022. Okay, but if you go with the paid version, so if you upgrade with this, so then it will take the live. So if you provide this URL directly and whatever elements currently available in the application, it will automatically create XPath for all the elements. So that is the reason if I use free version, so whatever the locators it is created, they may not be matched exactly with the elements currently we have in this application. That's what I'm saying. Okay, because we are currently using free version of ChatGPT. So free version is having data till 2022. So this application is also there in 2022, right? At that time, whatever elements are there in the application, it is work on those elements. Okay, so some gap will be there. But if you're using paid version or upgraded version, you don't have such problem. It will give you accurate results. So whichever application URL currently you are using, it will directly capture that application. It will find out all the elements and XPaths and everything. It will provide you. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, paid version is available. Yeah. In the corporates nowadays using it, they are buying the licenses. Many companies are already moved to this AI tools already. So they are using subscription paid version because these are officially from Microsoft. These are official products. Google Gemini is from Google, ChatGPT is from Microsoft. So they are officially available in the market. So most of the companies are opting these tools because of that reason they are reducing number of people because it will do a lot of tasks, right? So this is one use case. We can create easily all the XPaths very easily. So this is a proper prompt. So write a Selenium XPath locators for all the elements in the particular web page. So it will automatically create. Okay. So now, for example, let's say, but a real-time project in our domain is not live, then but in the real time you will have a paid versions. Okay, in the real time you don't have such problem. In the real time you will use always paid versions, not a free versions. So definitely it will identify the live pages and it will give you live XPaths. So you don't need to worry about this. Okay, so Google also I will show you. Google Gemini is there. That is also similar to ChatGPT. Okay, so I will show you that. So we'll see all the scenarios first and the rest of the things we'll discuss. Okay, all right. So now XPath locator creation. If it is not live, it cannot identify, right? Whatever is there in the domain or internet, ChatGPT will get the data. ChatGPT will work on based on the existing data, right? If the data is not there, how ChatGPT will help us? So I'll show you that also. Okay. So XPath locator creation, this is one thing. So now very important, major important thing. It will automatically create the page object classes. See, we have a 5 to 10 pages in your application. I want to create a page object classes. So how much time it will take normally? So lot of time. It's an entire designing of automation framework. Most of the times, 70% of the time we'll put on creating the page object classes. Okay. So now we'll see how it will automatically generate the page object class, how it will be very easy, how to provide the prompt for that. So now the next one, page object. This is very helpful feature for us, especially automation testers. Page object model, or we can say POM, class creation. This is another use case, especially for automation. Page object model, class creation. So how to create page object model automatically using ChatGPT. So we need to provide the proper prompt. So I have one prompt here. Let me show you. So you need to provide the proper prompt, then only ChatGPT will provide you the correct information. So now what is my prompt is, I have a web page and this URL. Okay, and then create a page object class for Selenium Java automation framework. So we need to provide the specific prompt. Then only it will able to create properly. Otherwise, no. And again, by creating page object class, we can use page factory without page factory, right? So that especially you need to specify that. So how we can specify it? There are two prompts I can create for that. So one prompt is, let's say this is my prompt 1 and this is my prompt 2. So I have a web page of this, create a page object class for Selenium with Java automation framework. So with page factory or without page factory, I can say without page factory. So without page factory. So this is one prompt I will give you. And another prompt is what? Same prompt. I want to create a page object class with a page factory. Page factory in the sense what? By using @find by annotation, right? @find by annotation. So with the page factory, one is without page factory, another one is with page factory. So now observe, I've given one web page URL and I'm asking to create a page object class using Selenium Java automation framework without a page factory. Now we'll see how it is going to generate page object class for this URL. But suppose you want to create a page objects for login page, right? So then what you need to do, go to the login link. Then you need to provide this URL. So this is a login page. So for this particular page, it will create a page object class. Suppose if you want to create page object class for registration page, then you need to navigate to the register and then you have to provide this URL. Then it will create a page object class. Okay. So now go to the login screen and I'm providing this URL and I'm writing this. So I have a web page, this one. Okay. And put this in the double quotes. So create a page object class for Selenium Java automation framework without page factory. Okay, so create login page object class. Specifically specify that, okay? Because I want to create a page object for only login. So create a login page object class. Create a login page object class, right? So this is a URL I have provided here. It's the same URL I will provide here also. So your prompt is a main crucial thing. Okay, if your prompt is perfectly created, the outcome is be very, very accurate. So now I'm just providing this prompt. Just observe how it is going to create a page object class automatically. This is again game changing stuff. So let me put this. I have a web page of this and create login page object class for Selenium Java automation framework without page factory. Just execute and see how it is going to create page object class. See this? It is created all the elements first and constructor is also created. Action methods also got created. That's it. See, the page object class is got created and also it is explaining each and every statement. It is also additional advantage for us. So not only providing the script, it is also explaining each and everything. And also we just asked to create only page object class, but it is also creating the test case also. How we can use the page object class in the test-ng test case. Also it is automatically generated. See how proactive it is. See how it is created. So just we asked only page object class created, right? Just created page object class. But in addition, it is also given how we can use that page object class in our test case. So test case is also got created. So how we can use page object class also created. Okay. So this is how we can use ChatGPT to create page object classes. Okay. So very, very faster and everything depends upon the prompt you provided. If the prompt is very accurate, the outcome is also be very, very accurate. Again, don't forget to review the code. Before using this in your automation, you have to review the code. That's the most important. Okay. So it is provided everything, whatever you want. So just suppose I want to create with the page factory. So it is created without page factory, right? So without page factory means, so first it capture only locators and also it is using find element method. But if I use page factory approach, it will not use find element. Instead, it will use @find by. Okay. Now just change the prompt now. See, you can change the prompt. So now I'm providing another prompt. I have a web page, create a login page object class for Selenium Java automation framework with the page factory. So just enter this prompt. See, it is giving again POM dependencies. It will also give some additional stuff every time. So now you can see it is creating page object class using page factory. Find by annotation, it is using it. See how it is got created. See, this is a web driver and these are all the elements. And this is a constructor. So inside the constructor, you can see page factory.init elements is got created. And find element we haven't used anywhere because we already find out all the elements here using find by annotation. So this is how we can create page object class automatically. Also, it is giving the test case one more time. Test case also got created automatically. Okay, so this is how we can create the page object classes using ChatGPT. Just you provide the URL of the page and ask to create page object class, it will automatically create. Okay, so only everything is depends on the how you are providing the prompt. That's it. So just one round of review enough. Okay, you don't need to review every time. As soon as you got the response, just do one round of review. If you feel everything is correct, then copy paste in your automation and use it. That's it. Only one round of review, one time review is necessarily required. Because sometimes there is no guarantee ChatGPT is also create accurate results. If the prompt is correct, the results will be correct. If the prompt is not correct or not specific, the results also not specific. You need to do some more reviews and some more modifications are required. Okay, this is how we can create page object classes very, very easily for the required pages. This is one more usage, page object model class creation. Right. So now let me show you another scenario. Suppose for Cucumber, let us say I have something called a test case. For that particular test case, I want to create scenarios in Cucumber feature file. Okay, so I want to create multiple scenarios in the Cucumber feature file for my test case. So I have given one test case, manual test case I have. For the test case, I want to create a Cucumber feature file which contains multiple scenarios. So that also we can automatically generate. So let me show you another one, 8. BDD approach, BDD feature file scenarios creation. Feature file scenarios creation. So we can easily create scenarios in the feature file in the BDD style using ChatGPT. So we need to provide one test case. So here I have a prompt and see how it is going to create scenarios in the BDD. Just observe. Okay, now this is my prompt. You can see create a feature file scenarios for the test case. So what is the test case is? This is the same test case which I have used earlier. So this is my test case. You can remove the title or else, or test case you can title. Or you can put this test case title. Okay, so this is my prompt. So create a feature file scenarios for the test case. You can simply say test case title, preconditions, and test steps. So navigate to the registration page, enter valid data in all the fields, first name, last. You need to specifically say all the fields and then select any required options, click register button, and expected results also, you need to specify that. So once you provided this test case and ask to create a feature file scenarios for the test case. So now just observe how it is going to create all the scenarios in one single feature file. Just observe. So I'm just copying this prompt along with expected results and everything. Go to the ChatGPT and then paste it over here. Now just observe how it is going to create feature file itself. It is creating. You can see that it is just to copy this code and create a feature file. That's it. And also it is creating step definition file. We haven't asked it, but it is also creating
step definition file for us. So sometimes whatever information we ask, it will also provide some additional information to us. See, step definition file is also automatically creating further test case, and also it is giving more explanation about those annotations, assertions, data table, and so on. You can see that how it is got created. So feature is successful user registration. Whatever test case I have given, it is given the scenario. This is how it is got scenario. You can see user successfully registered with the valid data. Given the user is on registration page, when the user enters valid data in all mandatory fields. So this is the data which is already given for single step. Okay, these are the another steps. So this is a scenario which is got created for the test case. So whatever test cases you have provided, you will create all the scenarios for the feature file. So just copy paste and create a new feature file, and you can proceed with that. So lot of time and manual effort is got reduced. And additionally, it is also given step definition file for that. So you can just copy paste this code and return in. If there is any change in internal code, you can just change it according to WebDriver. You can change the code. You can see automatically it is given. But this code may not directly work. Okay, so you need to lot of changes in that code. Final code you need to review and do some changes, whatever is required, and then execute. But almost 80% of the stuff it is given, right? Even if it provided that much of stuff, it is more than enough for us. Our manual effort is very, very simple, right? So this is how. So don't put anything in chat box, guys. First listen. I think you're not focusing on this. So or else I will disable the chat. So if you have any questions, we will discuss at the end of the session. First listen all the scenarios, how beautifully it is working. Okay. Right. So we cannot create entire framework directly, but we can create framework components individually. So we can create a page object classes separately. And utility files also we can create. Test cases also we can create. Configuration files also we can create. So we can create them separately and then we can combine into one framework. That's how we can do that. Okay. So now I'll show you another scenario. So we have seen this, right? How we can create a feature file scenarios in BDD. This is also very, very useful when you use Cucumber framework. And suppose in the framework, we will have a utility files. So we can also create utility files very easily. So now I'll show you how we can do that using ChatGPT. ChatGPT itself will create utility files. So we have already seen like Excel utilities and everything, right? So such type of stuff automatically done by ChatGPT. So utility creation. These are all required from framework, right? So utility creation. Utility creation. Utilities creation or utility creation. Now, so I want to create a utility file. Okay, so let's say earlier we have done for Excel, right? So same kind of utility file I want to automatically generate through ChatGPT. So I will give one prompt here. Just observe. I have given one prompt. So create an utility in Java to handle Excel sheet using Apache POI. And what are the operations it should handle is, I would like to do the following operations. The first operation is what? Count number of rows in Excel sheet, count number of cells in a row, read data from the cell, write data into the cell. So these are the operations I want to do using utility file. And how that should be generated is using Java and Apache POI library. Okay, so this is a prompt. So just observe, I'm providing this prompt and now it's going to generate the utility file in ChatGPT. So I'm just keeping the same prompt, create a utility in Java to handle Excel sheet using Apache POI. So be specific, which programming language, which library we have to use. And also more specific, what type of operations you want to do with that utility file. Simply execute and it will generate utility file and it will give you. Again, it is asking, it is also providing the dependencies what we required in Maven. Like POI dependencies we required, right? So it is added. Now you can see it is generated Excel utils utility file, get row count, get cell count, read cell data. Okay, and also it is generating. So write cell data, it is generating everything. Done. See, also it is saying how we can use the utility file in the main class. The usage of utility file also it is demonstrated. It is just created one main class and open the Excel file and is counting the rows, counting the cells, getting the cell data and writing cell into data into the Excel sheet. Also, it is showing the basic operations using main method. So not only creating the utility file, it is also additionally showing us how to use that utility file in your test case or in your main method, right? So you can just copy paste this utility file and you can use it in your automation. Straightforward, very simple, right? So we no need to bother about anything. It will ask you just prompt and gives you the output and use it. So utility files also we can easily generate. We can easily generate. So similarly, I will also create another utility file for to perform database operations. For example, let's say I have one database called MySQL. In the MySQL, I have few tables. Now through Java or through utility file, I want to operate the database. Like sometimes I will insert the data or update the data, delete the data, modify the data. So these are the operations I can do on the database table, and that I want to achieve through Java. Okay, so let us see how we can create the such type of utility file. So I have another prompt for that. So let me move here. This is the prompt 2. So create an utility in Java to handle MySQL database. Be specific which type of database you have. So I would like to do the following operation. Read data from a table, insert data into the table, update data into the table, delete rows from a table. So with this, we have to create our utility file. So let me copy this and put here in the ChatGPT. Now you can see how it is going to generate the utility file. So it will use something called JDBC concept in Java, Java database connectivity. And you can see it is creating the utility file. So this is for utils and it is basically establish the connection username and password. It will take constructor. This method for connecting the database, and this is for reading the data from my table. This is for inserting the data, update the data, delete the data. Okay, so close connection. And how to use the utility file in the main class also, it is clearly showing here. Example, with an example. So this is my delete query, update query, insert query. So whatever type of utility file you want to generate, just you need to provide the prompt properly. It will create and provides you. That's it. So any type of utility file you can easily generate. So this is how we can use utility creation. Especially these things will be used in automation framework. So page object classes will be used in our automation. If you're using Cucumber, we need feature files, scenarios, that also very useful. Utilities also we can create. So these are all things we require for our automation framework itself, right? The entire framework we cannot create at once, but the components of the framework, individual files we can create and we can combine and integrate in the whole framework. That is again our own job. We have to do that. Okay. So this is one of the use case. Utility files also we can easily generate using ChatGPT. Now the next one, test data, which is very, very important. So sometimes some test case require a lot of test data. So even the data also we can easily create with ChatGPT. So how we can create test data using ChatGPT? So the next use case is test data generation. Test data generation. See, let us say I have a simple registration form. For example, I have a simple registration form. In that, I have a different fields. Like I want to fill first name, last name, date of birth, email, confirm password, and so on. So I want to prepare some test data for that to test that particular application. So how we can give the prompt for that is you can simply provide the prompt like this. So create a test data for registration form in tabular format. You can also specify the format. If you do not specify the tabular format, it will give you normal text format. Again, you have to convert that into tabular format manually. So instead of doing that, you can directly specify in whichever format you want. So create a test data for registration form in tabular format. So the data includes first name, last name, DOB, email, password, confirm password. So these are the details I should have in the test data. So just copy this prompt and see how it is going to create data in the tabular format. See this? Exactly right. So this is what we have expected from the prompt. First name, last name, DOB, email. Now just you copy the data, put in the Excel file and use it in our data-driven testing. Just copy the data in Excel sheet and use it for data-driven testing. That's it. And if you want, you can also specify how much of data you want. Let's say 10 records, 20 records, 30 records also you can specify as part of the prompt. So it will automatically generate those many number of records. So the test data generation is also very, very easy with the ChatGPT. So this is one prompt. Let's say I'll create another prompt. For example, from the raise. Suppose I have data in the tabular format, right? Suppose I need data in the different format. I don't want in tabular format, especially when you're working with the API testing, APIs. Most of the times the data will be in XML format or JSON format. XML or JSON format. So if you want to generate the same data in the JSON format or Excel format, you can still do that. So just you need to change the format. So you can simply say, take another prompt. So whichever format you want, you can generate the data. So now I want to create test data for registration form, same, but in JSON format, or XML format or CSV format. So whichever format you want, it will generate. So again, same fields I want to integrate. So you can put this prompt directly in the chat box, or suppose you already created data in the tabular format, right? You can ask the same data, convert the same data into JSON format. You can directly ask like this, the continuation message, or else you can just put a new prompt. Create a test data for registration form in JSON format. So data includes first name, last name, DMOB, email, password, and confirm password. Now just observe. So in whichever format of data you want, it will automatically create. And this kind of files we will use normally in the API testing. See JSON format, the data is got created. This is JSON file. JavaScript object notation. So especially most of the APIs, we will use data in JSON format. See, it is generated the data in the JSON format. So you can just copy the code and you can create a JSON file and you can use it for our automation. So the test data generation is a major activity. You can see here, it is clearly saying the JSON formatted test data can be used to validate the registration form functionality in your automation script or for other purposes such as API testing. So for the registration form, if you want to work with, there is a corresponding API will be there, because now most of the times, whatever data we provided in the registration form, once you click on the submit, corresponding API will capture the data and send it to the database. Okay, so this data we can use it directly for APIs. So the test data generation is another most important task. So in whichever format of data you want to generate, you can provide. So we need to provide prompt correctly. So then you will get the right output. Okay. And one last thing is we can easily review the code also. We can review the code and we can understand. Sometimes reviewing the code is also more difficult. Let's say some testers or developers written the code in very complexly, and that we are not able to understand the logic in that code. So we can ask ChatGPT to explain that code. So ChatGPT will explain each and every statement written in the code so that we can easily understand. So that is another use case. Just a second. Can you see my screen? I think somehow it has got stopped. Okay. Right. So now the next use case is code review and understanding the script code review. So next 11th one. Sorry. Just a second, guys. So the last scenario is code review and understanding. This is also very, very helpful many times because somebody has written some piece of code, but we are not able to understand that code, what he has written inside the code. And the logic, what type of logic they have implemented as part of the code. So we are not able to understand that. So simply what you can do is we can ask ChatGPT to explain the code or review the code step by step. Okay. So for example, I will give prompt like this. I will give a simple program, just like see this. So explain the below code. This is my prompt. Okay, so explain below code, and here I given some piece of code. So actually, this is my program which will reverse a string. Reverse the string. I have written simple program. So I have not understood this program. For example, I have not understood this program. It's a little bit complicated. Complicated in the sense to reverse a string, they have created one user-defined method here, and they call this user-defined method by passing the string. So let's say I have not understood this particular piece of code. So then we can ask ChatGPT to explain this particular code step by step. So we can just copy this, explain the below code, and then go back to ChatGPT and then paste it over here. So once you provide it, it will explain each and every step in the program. You can see that. So the first line, why it is got created. Each and every line it is got explained. See that, how it is explaining the code. It is split the code into multiple pieces, and each and every line is explained in ChatGPT. So even for loop is also got explained. In the for loop, whatever predefined methods we used here, so that is also clearly explained. And now finally, it put entire program. This is the final program and some summary also, explanation summary also given. Okay, that's it. See here how it is got created everything. So each and every line we can easily understand by ChatGPT. You can just provide and ask ChatGPT to explain the code. So this line defines a public class named string reversals. Okay, this is my class name. And what does it mean? The main method is an entry point of the application. It's where the program starts execution. Now, what is this one? This line declares a string variable named original and initializes it with a value called hello world. And what is this one? This line calls the reverse string method, passing the original string as an argument. The returned reverse string is stored in a reverse variable. See that? We are basically calling this method by passing the string, and whatever string is got reversed, that we are again holding into the variable. So the explanation is very, very clear. Similarly, rest of the statements also explained in ChatGPT. Okay, so this is also another very, very useful uh, use case. Code review and understanding. So most of the developers will use this particular features, and syntax errors, logical errors also we can easily find out in ChatGPT. Okay, so we can utilize all these features from ChatGPT, especially when you're working as manual tester or automation tester. So this will reduce our lot of time and also effort. So there are few scenarios I have collected, and if you find any other scenarios, anything you can put. Okay, so whatever help you need from ChatGPT, you can ask. It will provide immediately. Okay, so that's all for about ChatGPT. Now I'll show you another one. Alternative of ChatGPT, there is Google Bird. Earlier the name was Google Bird. So now the renamed as a Google Gemini. Okay, so there's another tool called from Google, and that is called Google. Previously, the people were called as a bird. Now it is become Gemini, Google Gemini. So same way how we have used ChatGPT, similar way Google Gemini also we can use it. Now just Google it, Google Gemini. You can just type Google Gemini. You will get this link, Google Gemini. Again, you need to create login, or else if you have already Gmail account, you can log in with your Gmail account. So go to Google Gemini, and here you can see this is a new window. Your settings are there, and here again free version is there and updated version is also there. Same just like a ChatGPT, settings are there, and here you need to provide the prompt. That's it. So let me provide a sample prompt here. Same thing you can try with the Google Bird also. It is same thing, but responses can be different because ChatGPT is having their own database servers. Google Gemini is also having their own database. So here I'm just providing this prompt and see how it is going to generate in the Google Gemini. I'm asking to create a user stories. So just provide the prompt here and just press enter. See, it is creating all the user stories. Based on the requirement, it is creating user stories. So same thing, just like how ChatGPT works, similar way, even Google Bard also works. Okay. So you can explore this ChatGPT and along with Google Gemini. So if I use one tool, that is enough, more than enough. Go with ChatGPT because this works very effectively, because Google Gemini came later, and first only ChatGPT came first, and then yeah, even exceptions also it will explain everything, whatever you want, in whichever way you want to modify the code. And if you just provide a simple code and ask ChatGPT to add exceptions, it will automatically add. Okay, so just provide a simple code and ask ChatGPT to ask the add exception to the particular code. It will automatically add all the exceptions. Okay, so you can utilize this whenever it is needed in automation. Very, very useful. And mainly it will reduce our effort and time, repetition, especially when you create a page object classes and when you're creating the utility files. So a lot of effort will be reduced, and especially for manual testers, it will be more easier because there is a lot of documentation involved in the manual testing process. We need to create the test plans, and we need to create test cases. We need to create a traceability matrix. A lot of things we need to do. So ChatGPT will gives you within seconds, within minutes, everything will be ready. Even templates also we can automatically generate using ChatGPT. For example, I want to generate a test plan document. So you can ask ChatGPT to prepare a test plan. So you can ask, give me template for test plan document. Okay. And you can specify specific application domain also. Give me template for test plan document, give me template for test plan and for e-commerce application. So it will automatically create a test plan document with a template. See, this is our test plan document for e-commerce application. Just copy the data, put it in the document and do some modifications and finalize. This is a test plan template. So in the manual testing process, we will do that, say, which includes what is an objective, introduction objective, testing approach, in which environment we will test it, deliverables, test schedules, test cases, defect management. So these are all things we will include in the test plan. Okay, so you can utilize this very, very effectively. Suppose I want to create a test cases document template. So you can ask create test case document template. Simply it will gives you template and you can use it for writing the test cases. So this is a test case document template. Now, if you want in tabular format, you can ask tabular format. So you can simply say create test case template or test case document template in tabular form. So later this tabular form you can copy into the Excel sheet and you can use it. So see, this is the template. So you can use this template. You can just copy this in your Excel sheet and you can add more number of test cases. So it will be very, very helpful for especially manual testers. It will reduce a lot of time, effort. Even in automation testers also, it will be very, very useful. In all the companies, these tools are allowed. And especially the companies are preferring to take these tools because they wanted to reduce the time and effort. Okay, instead of recruiting 10 people, 10 members in the team, they are just recruiting 2 to 3 members, and rest of the job is done by the AI tools itself. And as of now, this ChatGPT or Google Gemini doesn't support images or videos type of data or images type of data, and documentation directly we cannot get. So if I ask provide an Excel sheet or provide the document, the ChatGPT cannot give because ChatGPT or Google Gemini is basically working only with the text content. Okay, only for the text content. So once it is provided this, we need to copy this in the Excel file and then you can use it. Just select this entire all the stuff like this and copy paste in Excel sheet, and you can provide your own template. But directly documentation, it will not give you. Just if you ask you create MS Word document, it cannot create. If you ask you create an Excel document, it cannot create. But the content it will create, that content we can put in the Excel sheet or documents, and we can do that. So that's how we can use this ChatGPT for automation. So I will provide this. You guys can go through and just play with that, and you will be familiar with this. And data may not be accurate with the live application for now, because whatever the ChatGPT we are using is in the free version. So if you go with upgraded version, you will get more accurate data from the live applications. It will able to detect those applications, right? So that's all for today's session, and we'll stop here.